Hello and welcome to Pharma Television News Review here at Biopharm America in Boston. On this show, I have Rob Fannon, who is Clinical Operations Manager at a company called BioServe based in Maryland. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Rob, could you tell us about BioServe? Because you're an interesting company focused in preclinical research.
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit more about BioServe.
Sure. If you had to characterize our company, we're closest to a preclinical CRO. The crux of our business really focuses on one of the largest commercial biobanks in the world. At present, in-house, we have about 600,000 samples. These are tissue, RNA, blood-related products that was collected from over 100,000 patients. Each one of these samples is associated with about 200 data fields, standard demographic data, disease-specific data. So this really drives the value of our company today. Our business model, if you had to characterize it, would be sort of a sample-to-data model where we'll engage our clients in everything from simple sample transactions to a little bit more of a long-term relationship where we'll keep those samples in-house, perform some of the standard molecular services associated with that, maybe DNA, RNA extraction. We can do some genotyping work, sequencing, gene expression studies, where we'll actually deliver data to our clients. So it's a really nice fit, and that was sort of the historical backdrop of our company, a service-based organization.
So let's just go to the biobank, because obviously, as you say, that's one of the key aspects of your business.
Sure.
So these are tissue samples taken from patients, obviously in a disease state,
Right.
who have been under a particular drug therapy.
Or surgery.
Or surgery. And these are tissues, obviously, hopefully surgery. Or there could be biopsy, presumably, as well. So these are samples taken then from those patients. So you know a lot about the patient's profile already. Obviously, their names are still anonymous.
Correct.
And so out of the 600,000 strong tissue sample database or biobank, companies can select, or you can select out on behalf of companies, specific tissues for specific drug research activities, knowing a lot about that tissue and the history of that tissue.
Exactly. The real value of a biobank is not necessarily the sample itself, but rather the data that's associated with that sample. And so these are not only just tissue, but we also collect a significant amount of blood as well. And so fractions of blood, serum or plasma, enables us to get a really comprehensive picture of that patient from many different levels, at the tissue level as well as sort of peripheral activity as well. So a lot of our clients are very attracted to that sort of comprehensive snapshot of that patient, if you will.
And typically out of that 600,000 biobank, or sample of biobank, what typically are in there? I mean, what therapy areas are you covering from those samples? Naturally,
from a tissue standpoint, there's a heavy oncology focus. But one of the nice things about our bank is one of the most comprehensive in the world, and that we also have a significant amount of immunological disorders as well as metabolic disorders. So we have cardiovascular disease, for example, type 2 diabetes, also disease states like RA or psoriasis. And this is really sort of a competitive advantage, if you will, a differentiator from us in that a lot of the commercial biobanks are only focused in oncology, but we sort of have a nice sort of well-rounded spectrum, if you will, of many different disease states.
Okay. Now, when you source these particular samples, is there a commercial relationship back to the origins of those samples, or those are just part of a transfer of that sample to you as part of a depository, as part of a clinical trial? How does that actually work?
Well, our in-house inventory was collected historically from various different clinical sites. Moving forward, we have a big focus on working with academic medical centers that really run in-house core facilities, in-house biobanks, if you will. So we've worked very diligently and recently announced what we are calling our BioServe network. So within our network at present, we have a relationship with Fox Chase Cancer Center, UMass Medical School, Windber Research Institute, and a nonprofit organization called the Fairbanks Institute for Healthy Communities. So our relationship with them enables us to not only gain access to samples that they've already collected at these various institutions, but also use these as collection sites to prospectively collect specimens, which is really a nice value for us because given that this is point of care collection, we can follow that patient and achieve longitudinal or outcome data, the result of drug treatment, perhaps surgery. So this really adds a significant value to our company and is also great for our partners as well because it sort of gains for them an entry into this commercial life science market in a very sort of mission-consistent way, working with a company like ours.
Okay. So when a company does work, or a pharma or biotech company work with you, mm-hmm. I mean, you've talked about from sample to data, mm-hmm. And already there's embedded data associated with that sample. And then there's the additional extraction of from that sample, mm-hmm. and certain measurements, whether it's looking at the DNA, looking at the mm-hmm. RNA, mm-hmm. and so forth. So how would a company typically work with you? Would that be based on a screening for drugs? Would it be based on testing a specific new technology? Tell us, what is the typical way in which a client would work with you?
Sure. Here recently, I mean, with a lot of the buzzwords, personalized medicine and tailored treatments and that sort of thing, a lot of companies are coming to us to take their particular drug of interest or a particular agent that they're evaluating to move into clinical trial, and they want to just run sort of a pilot study in collected specimens to look for some sort of signal of efficacy, a biomarker, something that de-risks their move into a clinical trial. And so what we think is we have a nice fit in this sort of emerging trend, where they can use our samples on a pilot basis and perhaps even collect prospectively new specimens that are associated with a different type of data to really de-risk a very risky drug development process.
Sure.
And so I think we're positioning our company in a very nice fit where there's this bridge between the preclinical drug development before going to a first-in-man trial. And so I think BioServe is sort of a tool for drug development companies to de-risk a very precarious process of bringing a new drug to the market.
And growing a business like BioServe, recently you've done an acquisition. Tell us about that and how that fits within the BioServe model for growth.
Sure. Well, our company was founded in 1989. Our founders actually spun out of the National Cancer Institute and focused really on just preclinical molecular services. Our foray into the biospecimen industry came by way of a 2007 acquisition of a former company called Genomics Collaborative. And this was a company that really pioneered the process of gaining IRB-approved collection protocols, informed consent, HIPAA-compliant measures to collect specimens the right way. And so that sort of put us into this foothold of working with high quality, high annotated biospecimens on the backdrop of our service organization. So it was a really complementary fit. Our challenge moving forward is how do we broaden our inventory? How do we continue to collect biospecimens on a sustainable basis? And we think our partnership program through the BioServe network is one of the most sustainable ways to do that. To work in a mission-consistent winning mechanism for the partner as well, to expand our reach, but without incurring a lot of the upfront capital costs to collect specimens the right way, because it is an expensive process.
Right. And the future growth of the company, how do you see that building? Just continued organic growth, or would you look for more acquisitions?
I think it would be organic growth, and that would be first and foremost letting companies know the value proposition that exists today at BioServe from a client standpoint, a drug development sector, as well as expanding our network sites. And I think this type of model is something that resonates with a lot of academic medical centers that are already doing this type of work in-house to collect specimens. This is a nice way for them to help offset some of the costs associated with doing that. And so I think we've got a really good thing going with this network, and I think we're going to run with it.
Rob Fannon, thank you very much indeed for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.